Today on Mets Digest, we're going for it. We got to talk about Jose Quintana and not only his abysmal performance this week against the Orioles, but just the trend over the past couple weeks. Should we be worried? Well, I think so. What's going on, y'all? It's Mets Digest. Flobo Boyce here, rocking with you at a very late night after checking out that Mets-Orioles series. And so we're going to break down all of that and what that means for the team in just a second. Just want to say thank you again for checking out the channel. We're still fairly new, and we're still trying to build everything up. I took a look at that little subscribe situation, and we want to make sure that we get everyone who's watching the show, watching the channel, watching everything going on to hit that subscribe button and that bell so they know what's going on wherever you're a fan, whether or not you're in New York, whether you're not in the United States, whether or not you're on planet Earth. Make sure you make Mets Digest part of your Mets podcasting diet. You know what, y'all? It was 24 hours ago. I was on top of the world, man. Francisco Alvarez with that home run. I'm thinking, we may never lose again. And, well, we had ourselves a situation. Jose Quintana was on the mound here against the Baltimore Orioles. And I got to be honest with you, the Baltimore Orioles are not a slouch. I'm not saying these are games we got to win. And I understand when it comes to baseball, there's 50 games you win and 50 games you lose. And the other 62 are up to you. But the effort here was lacking. Jose Quintana was the losing pitcher in today's matchup against Baltimore, but the worrying trend is that he's been a losing pitcher throughout the last couple of weeks, except for that no decision he took in Oakland. His last three starts have all ended up in L's, and so I wonder what's next for them. And it's maybe something that was going through my mind, but I realized some of the memes on X, some of the memes on Instagram were already comparing the poor guy to Carlos Carrasco. Remember him? Remember Cookie? And I was wondering whether or not other people are sharing the same sentiment, and it seems across the board it's not that good. This one here is from the New York Post. This one came out right after. Shout out to Zach Rosier for writing this one. As the saying goes, momentum in baseball is the next day's starting pitcher. For all the positivity that came out of Monday's walk-off victory, which I was there to see, it came with the realization that the weak link in the rotation, Jose Quintana, the weak link in the rotation, Jose Quintana was on the mound on Tuesday. So no, the Mets didn't have any real momentum. Quintana's effort didn't allow any. So let's talk about things that are true. The pitching outing wasn't the greatest. It was not competitive. Jose Quintana is on a downward trend. But the weak link of the rotation, that one made me think about it. Well, on the surface, I would say no. I mean, the back half of the rotation is something that we're trying to figure out. I know Peterson's there, Blackburn's there, but it was always a question mark. I was like, no, but that's now become solidified. Severino, he's up, he's down, but right now he's trending up, and getting a shutout, going a complete game, is always grounds to give you a bit of a stay of execution. And when it comes to the rotation, Manaya was the closest thing we had to a full ace. But maybe the New York Post is right. As we try to figure out what our rotation looks like if we go to the playoffs, because with today's loss, we're about 3 games out of the last wild card spot. So if the season were to end right now, we wouldn't be going to the postseason. But imagine if you're going to the playoffs, what does that rotation look like? And I gotta say, everyone has a bad day. Everyone has a bad couple of outings, but I'm looking at the situation here in Oakland. That one was a no decision. Reed Garrett got the loss, but that was a game that could easily be won. Or about Seattle, where we had the pair of games we didn't score a run. I understand you can't win if you don't score, so scoring 0 will always be a loss, but that weekend was when people started really having doubts of our postseason run, and Quintana was in that as well. And forget that, we're even before that in Los Angeles, taking on the Anaheim Angels, a series from a team that could have been easily a winnable series. That one was a loss. That 3-2 loss was one that we went, oh man, what's going on? And so I wonder, and I'm a bit concerned about Quintana's strength moving on. I'm going to go back to a couple days ago where Tim Britton, who is a beat reporter for the Mets over at The Athletic, which is a publication I subscribe to, which you should as well if you can swing it. If you can't, I totally understand. $8 a month is a whole lot of money, but he says this. The Mets opening day starter, which I actually forgot about because Kodai Senga went down and Quintana was basically the closest thing we had to an ace. But the Mets opening day starter was central to their turnaround earlier in the season, posting a sub 2.0 ERA over an 8-start stretch in which New York went 6-2. August, however, has been rough from the lefty. He's allowed 12 runs in his 3 starts, all of them team losses. So this was before the game tonight against the Orioles. This was from a couple of days ago, with 13 strikeouts to 10 walks. And that's another issue, right? Even David Stearns had mentioned that in some of his press conferences. It was the walking situation. And I know everyone's kind of responsible for the walking problem with New York, but there really wasn't anyone that was kind of as innocent as Jose Quintana, because it really was, he was like the chief architect when it comes to that. So you look at the stats overall when it comes to that as well. The ERA now ballooning over 4 with no end in sight. These are all not good. Look, I come here not to bury the guy, but I come here to answer really tough questions. If you were going to keep Jose Quintana in the rotation in the back half of the season, assuming we make it to the playoffs, who would have to be the kind of support you would need in case he does falter? Because if you're having these kind of outings, it's going to put a taxing sensation on the bullpen, and we are short on lefties. If you're going to say, look, we're going to keep him around for the time being, or move him, or maybe DFA or trade for next year, what does that look like as far as reloading that rotation? Kodai Senga looks like he could be back, sure. We talked about Brandon Sproat on this channel a couple weeks ago. It looks like David Stearns is not willing to move him up this year. We have some prospects in the pipeline. Do we have to get someone else? I know everyone was saying about the Blake Snell situation at the trade deadline. It may be a possibility. It may not be a possibility. I guess the question is this. Is this recent rough patch of form, the Carlos Carrasco comparisons, the high walk rate, is it terms, is it grounds for divorce? Are we looking for the Mets to move on? That's the question I have. But you can't argue the numbers. When you have an output like this, it really looks like it's going to be either taxing the bullpen, or maybe you have to look outside for some reinforcements. Let me know in the comments below what you would think. Quintana's recent run of form, maybe just a bump in the road, a rough patch, and waiting him to go on an ace run. Or if you're thinking, look, it's time to cut bait, or maybe David Stearns is somebody who's not going to wait around or futz around to see if someone does it. They're going to make the moves like they did to Joey Wendell. Remember him? Maybe that'd be the time to make a move, a corresponding move to salvage that part of the season. If the fans and crowds are having a bit of a rough time and are calling for a protest in X, that's usually a sign, the tip of the spear, that a move may be imminent, but maybe I'm just saying the sky is falling. Hey, thank you so much for checking out this edition of Mets Digest. Even though the loss was tough, I still have faith that we still may have a playoff run, but we have to go through Arizona and San Diego. Keep yourself locked in to this channel because we're going to have a lot of updates going in this very, very pivotal stretch for the orange and blue. Once again, my name is Flobo Boyce. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Be back soon enough. And until next time, it's LGM to the bitter end.